My mother-in-law thought $5,000 was enough to buy my best friend's loyalty. She didn't know that every word she said was being recorded and played at our rehearsal dinner. The look on her face when the truth hit? Priceless. But let's back up to how this nightmare started. Because it wasn't just a one-off incident. It built up over months of subtle digs and outright sabotage that left me questioning everything about my relationship. I'm Lena, 28, a graphic designer hustling in a vibrant city where the streets are always alive with the hum of traffic and the chatter of pedestrians rushing by. My childhood was straightforward and grounded, faded curtains in our small apartment, the comforting aroma of my mom's homemade soup bubbling on the stove every evening, and parents who instilled in me the value of hard work and self-reliance, never handing things out on a silver platter. They taught me to stand on my own 2 feet, and that's how I approached life. Then, one crisp autumn morning, Jake walked into my favorite corner coffee shop. The rich scent of freshly brewed espresso filled the air, steam curling up from the machines like morning mist. He was tall, with kind hazel eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled, and a deep, genuine laugh that made my stomach do little flips. We struck up a conversation over our lattes, mine with extra foam, his black and strong, and before I knew it, ours had slipped away as we talked about everything, from our favorite books to silly childhood stories. He was everything I'd hoped for: supportive, funny, and always there with a warm hand to hold during tough days at work. Our dates turned into weekends away, and soon, I couldn't imagine life without him. But then came the introduction to his family, and that's where the cracks started to show. His mom, the woman I started calling the Queen Bee in my head, was a force of nature, but not in a good way. Our first family dinner was at her sprawling suburban home, where the marble floors echoed every step we took, and crystal chandeliers tinkled softly overhead like they were judging us. She was impeccably dressed in a silk blouse that whispered with every gesture, her voice clipped and commanding, carrying the faint, overpowering scent of lavender perfume that lingered long after she left the room. She eyed me up and down as if I were a piece of art she found lacking. "So, Lena, graphic design? How quaint, Jake, darling. Don't you think someone with more ambition, perhaps from a similar background, would suit you better?" she said, her lips curving into a thin, insincere smile that never reached her piercing blue eyes. The words hit me like a splash of cold water, sending a chill down my spine that made me shift uncomfortably in my seat. I'd force out a polite laugh, trying to brush it off, but my cheeks burned with embarrassment, and my throat felt tight like I was swallowing cotton balls. Inside, doubts swirled. Was I really good enough for him? Later that night, as we drove home under the city lights flickering by, Jake squeezed my hand and whispered, "She's just protective. Babe, she'll warm up to you." But her little jabs kept coming, each one eroding my confidence a bit more, like waves slowly wearing down a rocky shore. It was exhausting, always feeling like I had to prove myself. Once Jake proposed with a beautiful ring that sparkled under the park lights, during a romantic picnic, complete with my favorite sandwiches and a bottle of cheap but cheerful wine. The Queen Bee shifted into overdrive. Wedding planning, which should have been exciting, turned into a battlefield where every decision was scrutinized. We'd meet at her house for discussions, the air conditioner humming coldly, raising goosebumps on my arms despite the summer heat outside. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked away like an ominous timer, and the sharp citrus scent of lemon cleaner hung in the air as she pored over my ideas with a critical eye. "That dress sample? Far too plain. Dear, it screams budget. And your job as a graphic designer? So unstable for starting a family, don't you agree, Jake?" she'd sneer, turning to him with a pointed stare, her high heels clicking sharply on the tiled floor like little exclamation points, punctuating her judgments. My hands would tremble just a bit as I held the fabric swatches, my fingers slick with nervous sweat, making them slip through my grasp. I'd bite my lip to keep from retorting, but inside, my pulse would race, a hot flush creeping up my neck until my collar felt like it was choking me. One particularly tense evening, she cornered me alone in the kitchen while Jake was taking a call outside. The fridge hummed softly in the background, and steam from the boiling kettle rose in lazy curls like warning signals. "Lena, sweetie," she hissed, her breath warm and minty from the gum she was chewing, that fake smile plastered on her face like poorly applied makeup. Think long and hard about Jake's future. You're sweet enough, but he's destined for so much more. Someone from our social circle, with real connections. The implication hung heavy in the air, making my stomach twist into knots. I wanted to shout back, "Who are you to decide our lives?" But the words stuck in my throat, leaving me mute as I excused myself and drove home. Rain pelting the windshield in angry sheets, the wipers thumping rhythmically like my pounding heart. Why does she hate me so much? I'd muttered to myself, gripping the steering wheel until my palms ached from the pressure. And it didn't stop there. The nastiness escalated. At a sunny family barbecue a few weeks later, the thick, charred smoke from the grill wafting through the backyard, mixing with the rustle of oak leaves overhead, I accidentally overheard her whispering to a group of ants under the shade of a large tree. "Lena's background? Honestly, not up to par at all. Jake needs real stability, not whatever this is." The word sliced through me like a knife, my appetite vanishing instantly. The burger on my plate suddenly tasting like dry ash in my mouth. I felt small, undervalued, my breaths coming shallow and quick as frustration simmered just under my skin, hot and insistent, begging for some kind of release. My best friend Lisa, who's been like a sister to me and even works as a nurse in Jake's extended family circle, noticed my distress right away. She pulled me aside on the warm grass, her hug carrying the faint antiseptic smell from her hospital shifts. "She's just insecure. Lena, you're real and genuine. While she's all about appearances and control, don't let her get to you." But the constant belittling and disrespect kept piling on, layer after layer, until I felt like I was carrying a weight that was crushing me, pushing me closer and closer to my limit. Then, amid all the wedding whirlwind with invites freshly printed and crisp, their ink scent still lingering, and the venue halls echoing with our excited footsteps, as we toured them, came the betrayal that shattered everything. Lisa's call hit me one breezy afternoon at work, her voice low and urgent over the phone, slicing through the usual office chatter like a siren. "Lena, you need to sit down right now. We have to talk." My heart skipped a beat, my chair creaking as I leaned back, a sense of dread pooling in my stomach. She spilled the details. Right after a casual family lunch at a bustling cafe, where plates clattered and espresso machines hissed in the background, the queen bee had pulled her aside and led her into the quiet sanctity of her home study. The room was dimly lit, with dark wood panels that seemed to absorb every sound, and a faint, musty aroma of old leather-bound books filling the space. "Lisa, you're Lena's closest friend, and as a nurse, you understand making tough, ethical decisions every day," the queen bee said, her tone silky and persuasive, almost conspiratorial, as she waved a plump envelope that rustled softly with the promise inside. "Take this, it's $5,000 in cash. Use it to convince Lena to leave Jake, to never look back. It's truly what's best for him. She's just not the right fit for our family." Lisa's jaw dropped in disbelief, the envelope feeling unnaturally heavy in her hand as crisp green bills peeked out from the edges. As a dedicated nurse, bound by a rigid code of ethics that stresses integrity, doing no harm, and respecting people's autonomy, this slimy manipulation hit her like a gut punch. It was no different from coercing a vulnerable patient into a decision against their will, which went against every principle she upheld in her grueling shifts at the hospital. On top of that, our friendship stretched back to childhood playground days, forged through countless sleepovers, shared secrets, heartbreaks, and triumphs. Betraying me for a wad of cash wasn't just wrong, it would destroy the unbreakable trust we'd built over years. Her mind raced in that moment. "This is insane. I can't let her get away with this." So, she discreetly hit record on her phone, tucked away in her pocket, capturing every damning word while faking a nod of agreement to de-escalate and get out of there without raising suspicion. As soon as she could, she bolted straight to my apartment, driven by a mix of moral fury and fierce loyalty. We huddled together on my worn couch, the soft fabric a small comfort under us, as the envelope crinkled ominously when I peeled it open, stacks of neat $100 bills staring back at me. Then we played the audio. The queen bee's smug voice echoed clearly through the speaker, every syllable crisp and incriminating, the background rustle of the envelope adding to the drama. Nausea twisted in my gut like a knot, bile rising bitter in my throat, while hot tears blurred my vision and trailed salty pads down my cheeks. She actually tried to buy me out of Jake's life, I choked out, hugging my knees to my chest, the room spinning slightly from the emotional whirlwind. Lisa wrapped her arm around me, her touch grounding and steady. She's gone way too far, we can't let this slide. It's time to fight back. Rage boiled up inside me, my fists clenching until my nails dug into my palms, mixing with the raw, aching hurt of such deep betrayal. That moment was my absolute breaking point, the spark that ignited a fire of determination I didn't know I had. Convincing Jake wasn't easy. He'd always idolized his mom, seeing her as a pillar despite her flaws. That same night, I set the stage carefully in our cozy living room, the warm glow of the lamp casting long, flickering shadows on the walls, the distant hum of city traffic outside like a low backdrop. "Jake, this is serious, please sit with me," I said, my voice steady even as my hands trembled slightly, handing him the envelope first so he could feel its deceptive weight, watching as he fanned out the bills with a soft whisper of paper, his brow furrowed in confusion. "This can't be real. Lena, mom wouldn't do something like this." But I pressed on methodically, logically breaking it down step by step. I played the recording next, her exact words filling the room like poison. "Take this $5,000. Convince Lena to leave." His eyes widened, but doubt lingered. "But why would she?" he muttered, starting to pace the creaky floorboards, running his hands through his hair in frustration, his breaths coming uneven and shallow. I connected the dots for him. Her endless jabs at my job and background, the subtle rumors she'd spread at family events to undermine me, how this bribe perfectly fit her, over-the-top protection, instincts that had spiraled into something harmful and controlling, even if it meant hurting us both. To seal it, we called Lisa over right then. She arrived still in her scrubs, carrying that faint, sterile hospital scent, and replayed the audio on her phone, pointing out the timestamp and even the metadata showing it hadn't been edited. Jake zoomed in on the file details, his finger swiping the screen, and it all started to click, especially when he recalled her recent odd, probing questions about Lisa's loyalty during casual conversations. Denial crumbled, his face paled under the lamplight, shoulders slumping as he sank onto the couch. "Okay, this is real. I can't believe it. But the evidence is staring me in the face. I can't defend her anymore," he admitted, his voice cracking with a raw mix of anger, sadness, and disappointment, pulling me into a tight hug where I could feel his arms shaking just a little, his chin resting on my head. "We're in this together, no matter what." With him on board, the plan took shape fast. We had exactly 48 hours before the rehearsal dinner, her self-proclaimed big stage where she'd hold court among the relatives. I played the part of the oblivious bride-to-be during those final dress fittings, smiling through gritted teeth as fabrics swished softly around me, the cool measuring tape pressing against my skin, all while her smug grins made my blood simmer. But behind closed doors, nights blurred into scheming sessions. I'd pace my apartment's creaky floorboards underfoot, my heart pounding like thunder in my chest, rehearsing potential lines in front of the mirror while steam from my evening shower fogged the glass, blurring my determined reflection. Fears crept in like shadows. What if it backfires and splits the family forever? What if Jake regrets it? But each time, resolve pushed back stronger, my veins thrumming with adrenaline, a metallic tang of determination on my tongue. This is for every insult, every moment she made me feel small, I'd think, clenching my fists. The trap was set, tension building like a storm about to break. The rehearsal dinner finally arrived, the restaurant's warm ambience wrapping around us like a deceptive hug, velvet curtains muffling the outside world, smooth jazz notes floating lazily through the air, the sizzle of steaks from the open kitchen teasing our noses with savory promises. Laughter echoed off the walls sporadically, glasses clinking in cheerful toasts. But my heart thumped heavily in my chest. every beat echoing in my ears like a countdown. The queen bee was in her element, beaming at the head of the table, her laughter booming over the chatter. Toasts kicked off with Jake's dad sharing a lighthearted, funny story from their family past that drew genuine chuckles around the room. Then it was Lisa's turn. She stood up slowly, her chair scraping just a bit against the floor, pulling out her phone with a steady hand. "I'd like to add a toast to family loyalty and what it really looks like," she said, her voice clear and unwavering, laced with quiet intensity as she faced the queen bee directly. Time seemed to slow, the room's murmurs fading. "A few weeks ago, right after that family lunch," she continued, "you pulled me aside and said this." With a tap, she hit play on the audio. The recording blasted through the speaker. "Take this $5,000. Convince Lena to leave Jake. It's best for him. And keep it between us." Chaos erupted, instantly sharp gasps rippling through the family like a shock wave. Chairs groaning as people shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The queen bee's fork crashed down with a loud clang against her plate, her face draining of color to a ghostly white before igniting into a furious red flush. Sweat beading on her forehead like tiny accusations. Her eyes went wild, flickering desperately from face to face for any sign of support. Her hands fluttering erratically, like trapped birds as she pushed back her chair with a harsh screech. "That's a complete and utter lie," she blurted out, her voice shrill and breaking on the edges, rising in pitch with panic. "I was just testing you, Lisa, joking to see if you'd gossip. Jake, son, tell them it's all nonsense. You know I'd never mean it." But Jake, his expression shifting from initial shock to a hardened, quiet fury, shook his head slowly, his jaw set firm. "Mom, we all just heard the recording. It's your voice. Clear as day. The envelope, the cash. How could you go this far? This isn't protection, it's destruction." Whispers buzzed around the table like angry bees, relatives exchanging wide-eyed glances and murmurs of disbelief. "Did she really? That's unbelievable." She tried to rally, stammering more excuses, but the humiliation engulfed her completely, her usual commanding poise shattering as she slumped back into her seat, avoiding everyone's eyes, the air now thick with unspoken judgment and tension. For me, it was pure ecstasy, a deep, freeing breath expanding my chest, a triumphant grin I couldn't suppress spreading across my face as waves of relief and validation washed over me. Jake's hand found mine under the table, warm and steady, his grip anchoring the moment. "It's over now, we did it." The aftermath, sweet silence and healing. The wedding day dawned bright and beautiful the next morning, with the sweet, heady perfume of fresh flowers filling the venue, our vows echoing sincerely through the grand hall amid smiles and applause from guests. But the queen bee lurked quietly in the back rows, her voice subdued and her presence diminished. The once heavy air around family events now lighter without her constant barbs and interference. In the weeks that followed, relatives pulled away from her gradually, no more casual invites to gatherings, her phone calls often going unanswered or met with polite but distant responses, the silence speaking volumes about the shifted dynamics. We took that tainted $5,000 and donated it all to a charity, supporting single mothers, sealing the envelope with a satisfying snap that felt like closing a dark chapter, transforming her manipulative scheme into something genuinely positive and uplifting. Jake and I grew even stronger through it all, our bond forged in the fire of this ordeal. No more lingering shadows of doubt, just open laughter and shared dreams without the weight of her control. She attempted a few weak apologies over time, her voice small and hesitant over the phone, but the trust was irreparably shattered, and we kept our distance, watching her fade into the background of family life, her once dominant influence reduced to echoes. It was pure, earned justice, a quiet satisfaction that lingered long after. Betrayal cuts deep, like a wound that festers and aches if you ignore it. But exposing it with cold, hard truth, that's the healing balm that sets everything right in the end. When someone like her tries to pull the strings from the shadows, manipulating lives to fit their narrow vision, standing up tall and flipping the script with evidence is the ultimate power move. Karma has a funny way of circling back around, delivering what's due sometimes. It just needs a little nudge from those who've been wronged to speed things along. If this tale of exposed betrayal got your blood pumping, smash that like button and share in the comments. What's the wildest family drama you've survived? And hit subscribe for more stories of sweet, satisfying justice. Catch you next time.